Hey, I like video games. I also like lost media. Just happens the two go hand in hand together. Let's talk about that. Big Brother was going to be a point-and-click adventure game designed in the likes of Myst, albeit with a story based off of George Orwell's dystopic novel 1984. The game was being developed by Media X, which I wasn't able to find any information on that fit the subject of game development or wasn't directly related to the Lost Media wiki page about the game. The only reason we know Media X was behind the game was due to a 1998 issue of Next Generation magazine, which is also the sole distributor of any information regarding the game. In the game, the player would have been tasked with rescuing their fiancé from the Thought Police and a regime that's crumbling even more than the one presented in the book, consisting of 12 levels, each apparently 5 hours long. Interestingly though, the original idea was to have 60 levels. It was also pretty ahead of its time too, with Next Generation magazine touting that the game would have real-time graphics, advanced facial animation, and environmental puzzles to deliver a fresh experience in the, at the time fatigued genre, of adventure games. The game was scheduled for an early 1999 release, but seeing as it's 2021, I think it's safe to say that we're not getting it unless a dev just happens to have a build that's survived the last 22 years. Today though, there's a Big Brother PC game, but it's based off the reality television show, and is more akin to a minigame-focused Sims game. There is also a 1984 game that is out on Steam right now called Orwell, Keeping an Eye on You, as well as various other games that have clear Orwell inspiration. But the actual chances of us seeing the Media X Big Brother game leaking or being released at all is slim to none. Grand Theft Auto 64 is pretty self-explanatory, a port of GTA 1 for the Nintendo 64. An IGN page about the game states that the port would have included enhanced graphics, new levels, and an ambiguous new characteristics. But for unknown reasons, the port was cancelled before being publicly revealed. According to the N64 magazine, the port was going to be developed by DMA Design with the green light from Rockstar, and that the problem with bringing it to the system wasn't due to any technical limitations, but instead due to Nintendo and the game's heavy use of swearing, mowing down civilians, and general adult orientation. Though, since they allowed such games as Resident Evil, Turok, and Perfect Dark onto the system, the magazine writer believed that the game would have been more likely to have happened. Unfortunately though, the port in any sort of state has yet to surface. Crash Bandicoot in Spyro Adventure World was a promotion with Nabisco in 2004 on CandyStand.com to promote the upcoming Crash Bandicoot Purple and Spyro Orange games for the Game Boy Advance. And special packages of Nabisco products would be Crash and Spyro-themed code cards that unlocked new minigames on the site. Though, as of now, none of the cards remain on the site. According to the Crash Bandicoot fandom wiki, there was upwards of 92 cards and 7 minigames based off of Crash and Spyro's previous adventures. Currently, every minigame is missing, and all that remains is some promotional material and people's scans of a handful of the cards, as well as all of the names of the minigames. Rayman Garden is a simple puzzle game that was developed by Gameloft and came pre-installed on Mitsubishi Triumph Eclipse and Mitsubishi M21i along with Rayman Bowling. Rayman Garden is one of, if not the most obscure Rayman game in the entire series. Due to this, it went undocumented for the longest time, only having one single screenshot being the only known information about it. Fellow creator FrameRaider posted gameplay of Rayman Garden in 2019. And MameWorld reported that a user named Clawgrip dumped the ROM of a Mitsubishi Triumph Eclipse MT450, which contained Rayman Garden, but from what I'm aware, the ROM isn't available to the public. It's said that the goal of the game is to find all of the Lums, a collectible energy creature seen in all Rayman games, and avoid the monsters to finish the level. Rayman II is considered by many to be one of the best Rayman games of all time, for various reasons, but largely due to it being released on every major platform at the time, as well as being ported to several new consoles. Of course, around the time that mobile games were exploding, Ubisoft and Gameloft ported Rayman II to the iOS, using the Dreamcast version of the game as a base model. Due to this, the Dreamcast had a bonus Lift minigame. The catch is that the Lift game was removed from the full release on the App Store, only existing in the demo version. The purpose of the game was to swing up and collect 20 red lums. As of now, only 2 screenshots of the mobile level exist, and there has been no explanation for why it was removed in the final release. Sometime during 2013, Rayman 2 was removed from the iOS store with no reason given. It's speculated that it was due to licensing issues between Ubisoft and Gameloft, but as of now, we're left in the dark. Project Atlantis was reported on by multiple gaming magazines during 1996, and it was speculated that this was the prototype for what became the Game Boy Color or Game Boy Advance. It was being worked on during the late 1990s. In 1996, Electronic Gaming Monthly and Game Informer started listing specs for the console, specifically that it had 32-bit color, 4 face buttons, and a 3" by 2" LCD screen. Nintendo had at one point confirmed the console's existence, but delayed the official release until late 1997, where it would also miss the release window, and be cancelled without public acknowledgement sometime around late 1997 or early 1998. In the same magazine, alongside the console, they had discussed the only known game for the system, Mario's Castle. All that was known was that it was going to be for the Atlantis handheld, and that Nintendo themselves were working on it, but unfortunately that's all that's known of it. As it stands, we don't know if Mario's Castle was worked into other titles or if assets for this game are hiding in other games, or even at Nintendo's headquarters. Yeah Yeah Beavis 1 is a mysterious video game that appeared in game listings of both Play It Again magazine and Funko magazine, and nothing else has ever surfaced directly relating to it. However, many theories have arisen due to the oddity of the game. The generally accepted theory is that it's a poor localization of Rai Rai Kiyoshi Baby Kiyoshi no Amida Daiboken from Bandai's Family Trainer series, though other theories speculate that it could be a copyright trap in case other magazines steal their list, a placeholder to fill space, an inside joke, or even just an unlicensed game. But those latter theories have little evidence to support them compared to Bandai's Family Trainer game. There's also another theory that it's a poor localization of Super Pitfall 2 that would have also served as a localization of Atlantis no Nazo. But the explanation given by Luigi Master makes very little sense to me, probably due to not being able to speak Japanese. I'm not going to discredit this theory, but personally, I don't believe it myself. In the end, it's most likely a poorly localized port, but I'd be lying if I said there wasn't a part of me that thinks otherwise. For a more in-depth analysis of this game, please go check out L Supersonic Q's video on the subject, as he goes into much better and more concise detail about this than I feel like I would be able to. Croc III was a sequel to Argonaut Software's Croc series, allegedly in development between 2001 and 2005. Argonaut Software was planning to release it for all major platforms at the time, and that it would continue right after Croc II, where Croc would be up against Baron Dante, but this time, Dante has a spell that Croc could only stop using a sacred Stone of the Gabos. Croc III was going to be taking influence from Spyro Year of the Dragon, with fully explorable hub worlds to make it easier for younger players to play. It was also notable for having an optional co-op mode where the second player would be Ginger, a love interest for Croc. The game started development in 2001, and during its development course, it was plagued with issues, such as Croc's original voice actor not wanting to return to the role, and that the team had to use an older version of their in-house engine, B-Render, for the PlayStation 1 version of the game, due to the console's limitations. They wanted to release it for the PlayStation to have all 3 games on one console, as it was a planned trilogy like Crash Bandicoot and Spyro the Dragon. Unfortunately though, Argonaut closed in 2004, which left the Croc IP in the hands of ZeniMax Media Inc. Apparently, a very early prototype of the game was supposed to be given to Unseen64, but the founder of Argonaut rejected it, as ZeniMax is allegedly a very strong cease-and-desist type company. It was later confirmed on Unseen64 that the story provided was fake due to multiple instances of people saying the game's cancellation was due to being ZeniMax owning the IP, but someone who was in contact with developer Storybox had revealed that Storybox was in contact with co-producer of the original game, Jez San, who said that he still owned the Croc IP, and intended to include Croc in an upcoming title. Unseen64 user Old Classic Gamer also said that he was in contact with Bethesda Works, an at the time subsidiary of ZeniMax. In the email, it was further confirmed that ZeniMax definitely didn't own the Croc IP.